Hey, Bulls and Bears. We've got an update here on the new and used car price situation. And we see that car dealerships are raking in record profits at this time. So they're definitely taking advantage of the low supply and the higher demand now for vehicles. So today we're going to talk about the record profits that car dealerships are making. Why is this happening? How much longer can this continue? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel for those looking for lower car and truck prices? This one's out of KBB. Dealership profits breaking records during car shortage. According to NADA, the net profit before tax at the average new car dealership through the first 9 months of 2021 was up an astonishing 128%. That's more than double compared to just a year ago. So, folks, these dealerships are definitely taking advantage of the car shortage. And some people out there would say, that's wrong. They shouldn't be taking advantage of the supply situation, the shortage. Other people say that's business. When something's in high demand and you have it, you can raise your price because you're going to get more for it because there's more demand for the product. Other people say it's completely fair and that's just the way business works. Now, there may be some relief on the horizon for those looking for lower prices. We're going to talk about that here in just a couple minutes. But first, let's just recap this article that we showed you a few weeks ago. Jalopnik's out there reporting that the car shortage is about to get a lot worse because many of the manufacturing countries are also seeing problems with production in the facilities. And a big part of that's the energy crisis and the cost of energy. Also, even some of the big manufacturing countries are seeing problems with their raw materials. So it's causing slowdowns in some of these countries. And as we know, the United States, we import a lot of what we get here. And a big part of this problem is magnesium, which is a critical element in everything from engines to bodies. It's in very short supply right now. And here's just some of the parts where this critical element plays a big role: body panels, fuel tanks, suspension plates, brackets, brakes, engine blocks, cross members, axles, impact beams, unibody structures, wheels, and more. So the solution is not sitting on a cargo ship somewhere. There's not 10 million cars out in the ocean right now waiting to get dropped off and shipped to the dealers. It's a much bigger global problem in this case, which is pretty scary when you think about it. As high as prices have already climbed, to think that they could go even higher from here. Some people are saying that they could even double from here. We talked about the price of oil a couple reports ago. There's traders out there saying it's going to be $300 a barrel before this is over. And I don't know exactly where this ends, but it definitely is concerning when you take a look at it. All right, so please comment down below. Are the car dealers just taking advantage of the economic situation? Is it fair? Or should this not be allowed? Should there be some sort of price cap put on this, some sort of a regulation? I myself tend to err on the side of less regulation, but some people say, that's the solution, that to keep car prices down. But think about this: if the car dealers have to pay more for the cars, then they have to turn around and sell them for a higher price. But if that was the only reason, then why are they making double the profit from last year? So obviously they're raising prices even more compared to what they're having to pay for the cars. Please let me know down in the comments about all this, people. But most people are worried about this economic situation, the rising costs. In fact, 88% of Americans are worried about inflation, and they're planning to cut back in some areas. I thought we were going to start seeing a lot less people going to amusement parks and to sporting events, but I watched the games. I see them on TV. I see the highlights, and I see the stands are still packed full of people. It almost seems like people are willing to be entertained no matter how broke they are, right? We know most Americans are in debt, but yet we still see the stadiums packed full of people. Pretty amazing. All right, but from this article out of CNBC, many are planning to cut back on spending when it comes to dining out and eating out. Also, the other areas where people were talking about cutting back was upgrading their technology. So maybe people will be getting less new phones or keeping their old phone for longer. Buying new clothes. So maybe people will be wearing some older clothes, maybe going to Goodwill or Salvation Army and less people traveling. Well, I'm not seeing that at all on the freeways. I still see packed freeways. Doesn't seem like people are trying to cut back on many of these things as far as I can see. The stores still seem pretty crowded. But it really is no mystery when you see how much debt is continuing to rise for most households. Okay, so yes, people are aware and concerned about inflation. Will we see a light at the end of the tunnel? Is there any hope on the horizon for maybe lower car and truck prices? Well, Ford and General Motors are talking about stepping into the chip business. And this is out of Wall Street Journal here. Stung by the semiconductor shortage, Detroit's two biggest car companies are looking to align with computer chip makers to develop and potentially manufacture chips. So it sounds like there is some hope on the horizon. Here's the problem. Implementing all this new manufacturing with the chips, it's going to take a long, long time. Ford Motor Company just last Thursday outlined a strategic agreement with the US-based manufacturer of semiconductors, Global Foundries, to develop chips, a pact that could eventually lead to a joint US production. And we reported earlier this year, actually just a few months ago, how Tesla was stepping up their game and coming up with their own chips, and that's how Tesla was continuing to sell cars and have more cars put on the lots compared to some of these other car companies. So how soon could this have an impact on the supply of cars and trucks? Well, even the CEOs interviewed in these articles didn't have a definite timeline. Some of them are still saying it could be years before this gets caught up because of all the red tape and the regulations, and basically all the handcuffs that are put on businesses in the United States. And as most of you probably know by now, I do not give out any investment advice, any financial advice on this channel because there's a unique situation. Everyone's in a unique financial situation. Your medical costs are different than the person next door. Your debt is not the same as someone else. Your cost of living is different. Your overhead, all of your costs are individual, right? Everyone's different. But there's a lot of people out there saying they're just going to go ahead and bite the bullet and pay whatever they need to pay to get a car right now instead of waiting, because with all of this uncertainty out there, we don't know how long this is going to last. And I don't really see much solutions being implemented quickly. All right, there's some, like the chip thing, there's some chip manufacturing being discussed there where the Ford and GM are going to start making their own chips or partnering with chip manufacturers, but there's no timelines on that. So how do we know? How do we know if it's better to wait? How do we know if it's the right move to buy now? Because cars are going to be even higher next year, maybe 20% more, maybe 30% more, maybe 50% more. Who knows, right? This is a pretty scary situation for a lot of people that are kind of walking the line financially between being in poverty and being able to make their monthly bills and their mortgage and their rents, right? So it's a big problem, and it's not a fun thing to have to report, but that's what's happening. And I hope you guys appreciate the input today. What do you think about the car dealers making record profits? Is this wrong? Are they taking advantage of the situation, or is taking advantage of the situation is what corporate America is about, right? You find a need in the market and you take advantage of it, and that's how you make money. Please let me know what you think about this. What are you going to do? Are you going to buy a vehicle now as prices are going higher, or are you holding off? Or are you just going to keep your old car, keep it maintained, keep it running as long as possible? Please let me know. Thanks for being here. Stay well, stay safe, keep stacking. Bye for now, everybody. Peace.